Hello students, in this video lecture I'll be discussing about battered child syndrome, which is a part of my forensic psychology course. Battered child is a child who is experiencing continuous abuse or neglect. It is a term that was used by Kempe and his colleagues in 1985. They use this term to characterize a clinical condition in young children who have received serious physical abuse, generally from a parent or foster parents or caretaker. Battered child syndrome refers to non-accidental injuries which are not result of an accident, which is to a child as a result of physical abuse, and usually this abuse is done by their parents or their caregivers. It is also known as child physical abuse or non-accidental trauma (NAT). Battered child syndrome, the term was given by Kempe et al. With the help of after their study in 1962, which included a nationwide survey in United States for 1 year in 1961. During this 1 year, they noted that in 71 hospitals, 302 cases of child trauma were reported, in which 33 children died and 85 had permanent brain injuries. In all these 302 cases, the reasons given by parents or caregivers for these injuries were not satisfactory and were not matching with the clinical examinations. They also noted that during the same year, 447 cases of such abuse were filed in court. In these 447 cases, 45 children died, 29 had permanent brain damage, and in 46% cases the court found the parent or caregiver guilty and the court case initiated against them. After studying these cases for 1 year, Kempe and al. Found that such incidences of child abuse resulting in non-accidental trauma may occur at any age. However, it is more generally found in children who are younger than 3 years. These evidences of neglect includes, but are not limited to, poor skin hygiene, multiple soft tissue injuries, and malnutrition. So these children often have poorly maintained skin. They have multiple injuries ranging from minor cuts to cigarette burns, and they have clear evidences of malnutrition. It is also noted that a marked difference is found between clinical findings and the reasons provided by parents and caregivers. So whatever reasons parent or caregiver provide for these injuries are different from what is found from the clinical investigations. The causes of battered child syndrome include societal problems, parents' ignorance, lack of training. It is found that battering the children is present at every level of society, although it seems to be higher in lower income households. The reason for this increased incidences in income household might be because in these household the adult caregiver or parents experience great stress. They have difficulty managing their lives, poverty, and because of these they have lack of control over a stressful situation, and they often find it difficult to stop their anger. The other risk factor for bettering the child includes lack of education in parents and caregivers, single parenting, where the support system is half and the responsibilities are double, alcoholism or drug addiction among parents or caregiver. It is found that in most cases, the parent or caregiver abuses the child and injure it in the heat of anger or during stressful moments. The common trigger event that may lead to this bettering child may be increased incidences of crying by infants or children, which may create stress and anger among parent or caregiver. Perceived excessive fuzziness of an infant child. They may believe that this child is always fuzzy, it is always crying. Inappropriate or failed toilet training by a toddler. The parent might use abusive means to teach the child toilet training, or the perception that the child is disobedient. All these incidences act as common trigger for child abusers. There are also cultural traditions that may lead to abuse. In many cultures, it is believed that a child is property of parents, and thus the parent, especially male parent, have the right to control their children in any way they wish to. Some cultures also believe that children need to be toughened up so that they could face the hardship of life. They must be trained enough to face any problematic situations they face in future. Studies have also noted that child abusers who engage in battering the child are those who themselves are abused as children, and they fail to realize that abuse is not appropriate disciplinary technique to be used, and thus they continue to abuse the children. Such parents or caregivers have been found to have poor impulse control, and they seem not to understand the consequence of their actions on the immediate and long-term health of the child. The clinical symptoms of such abuse vary widely from cases to cases. The cases in which trauma is mild, it is often unsuspected and unrecognized. So in mild cases, usually people don't suspect that the child is abused, or the abuse is not recognized. But there might be cases in which trauma is high and there are visible injuries to the soft tissues of the children, especially skin and skeleton. The physical symptoms which may lead to believe that a child is battered includes a delayed visit to the emergency room with an injured child. In such cases, the clinician clearly perceives that the child is brought to the emergency room after a significant delay, when the things are out of control, when it was not possible to manage the child injury at home. Also, an impossible explanation of the cause of child injury is available, which lead a child or investigator believe that a child is battered. So they give the parent or caregiver give explanation which are impossible. Bruises that match the shape of hand, fist or belt often indicate battered child, battering incidences. Cigarette burns, scald marks, bite marks, black eyes, lash marks, bruises or choke marks around the neck, circle marks around the wrist or ankle, which include that the batterer tried to twist the child, separated sutures. All these are physical symptoms that are visible on a child's body and are indicative of battered child. Many of the time the child is unconscious and the reason for that unconsciousness is unexplained. Also, bulging fontanelle in small infants is an indicator of batteredness. Due to all these incidences of child abuse, the child also face emotional trauma, and this emotional trauma remains for a longer duration even if the physical injuries are cured or healed. These battered children may show a poor self-image years after the incidents. They may also show incidences of sexual acting out, increased sexuality or sexual gestures. They show inability to love or trust others. They often engage in aggressive, disruptive or illegal behavior. Their behavior show anger, rage, anxiety or fear. In later years, in adolescence especially, they are found to engage in self-destructive or self-abusive behavior. They have frequent suicidal thoughts. Their social behaviors are usually passive or withdrawn. They find it difficult to enter into a new relationship or activity. They have poor school performance, poor school adjustment, poor peer relationships. They show marked symptoms of depression. They often have flashbacks or nightmares about the abuse they have faced, and it is found that later on they develop drug and alcohol abuse. It is very important that these emotional bruises are recognized early and are treated so that the long-term effects of these battering incidences could be minimized or could be restricted. It is very difficult to conduct a diagnosis of battered child. It is very difficult due to the fact that the child can't speak, and even if they can speak, most of the time they prefer not to. So it is very difficult to recognize a battering incidence, and thus an emergency room physician or pediatrician, teacher and social workers' role is very important in such cases. Physical examinations are done to detect injuries, burns, swelling, retinal hemorrhage. Retinal hemorrhage is bleeding in the back of the eyes due to which the white portion of the eyes are red. Internal damage to the tissues, organs, bones, which might indicate twisting or fractured ribs or skulls. All these physical features present in child which does not relate with a valid reason explained by the parent or caregiver could help a doctor or social worker suspect a battered child. Medical professionals also conduct X-rays, MRIs, scans to confirm or reveal other internal injuries. One important marked feature of battered child syndrome is a presence of injuries which are at different stages of healing, which indicates that these injuries have occurred at different times. So it is not one accident that caused these injuries, rather there is a series of incidents which are present in form of injuries that are at different stage of healing. The diagnosis of a battered child is not very easy task. It is always hindered by several factors, which includes the excessive cautiousness of caregivers. Parents or caregivers engaged in such cases are excessive cautious not to tell, not to reveal the injuries, regions to any outside agency. The actual concealment of the true origin of the child injuries. So, from where the injuries have started is concealed. The child never tell it as a result of fear, of experiencing coercion after returning home. They may not speak out of shame, or they may not speak due to the avoidance, activation of avoidance or denial mechanism. So it is very difficult for them and for the investigators to investigate or establish battered child syndrome. The prevention of this then becomes very important. How to prevent these battering incidents? It is important to recognize the potential for child abuse, and it is equally important to seek or offer help in form of intervention, counseling, and training of good parenting skills. It is beneficial to be given in advance so that it could be prevented in future. It is important that educational programs are developed to teach caregivers good parenting skills. It is important that parents and caregivers are made aware about abusive behavior. The childs are made aware about abusive behavior so that they seek help whenever needed. Support from extended family, friend, support groups are also needed. It is important to recognize that abuse, alcohol abuse, substance abuse in parent may lead to bettering the child. So in such cases, the parent caregiver themselves or the social mechanism is susceptible and vigilant for such incidences. High stress in family life may lead to bettering the child, so it is important to be vigilant about them. If there are previous incidences of a bettered child or child's bettered sibling, it is important to note and to be vigilant that it does not happen to the younger children. If the parents or caregivers have history of mental or emotional problems, it is important to recognize their action, to note their actions, and to be vigilant about them. It is equally important to recognize and note whether parents themselves have been the victim of battered child syndrome. If it is so, they might be given appropriate skills and training to not to indulge into further bettering activities. If it is visible that there is a lack of parental love and concern for the child, appropriate actions are required immediately. And if there are incidences that shows that the child's hygiene is ignored or neglected, such situation might lead to or might indicate bettering the child, and thus they are needed to be prevented. Although it is complex task, especially in cultures like India, to identify a better child, it is very important for parents, caregivers, legal actors, social workers to be very much vigilant about such incidences and try their best to curb the ill effects of this incident. So that was all I wanted to speak on this topic. If you have any problem, concerns, issues, you may always contact me back channel. Till then, thank you. Jai Hind.